There is one number, one single number that tells you more about your long-term health, your athletic performance, and your life expectancy than almost any other metric. And unless you're a coach, athlete, or invested in your health, you've likely never heard of it. Enter VO2 Max. If you don't know yours, you could be leaving performance on the table. Today, let's change that. So what is your VO2 Max? And let's break this down in simplistic terms. VO2 Max is your body's maximum capacity to consume, transport, and use oxygen during intense exercise. It's measured in milliliters of oxygen per kilogram of body weight per minute. Think of it like the size of your engine. A small engine gets you from point A to point B, but a large engine does everything faster, more efficiently, under more pressure, and for a longer, sustained period of time. And here's where it gets interesting. When you exercise, your muscles need oxygen to produce energy, specifically through the aerobic system, your body's most powerful and efficient energy pathway. The aerobic system produces 12 to 13 times more ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which can be viewed as your energy currency than your anaerobic system, so aerobic, anaerobic. But, and here's the caveat, it needs oxygen to do it. Your VO2 Max determines the ceiling of how much oxygen your body can pull in and utilize. And here's what's actually happening at a physiological level. When your VO2 Max is high, your heart is pumping more blood per beat. And we call this stroke volume. More blood per beat means more oxygen delivered to your working muscles. Your lungs are also more efficient. Better oxygen transfer from the air to your blood means less wastage. Your muscles have more mitochondria. These are your power plants inside your cells. And more mitochondria means more sites for oxygen to be converted into usable energy. And your blood has greater oxygen carrying capacity. More red blood cells equals higher hemoglobin levels. So VO2 Max clearly is not one thing. It's a sum of your entire oxygen delivery and utilization system firing at full capacity. That's why we use it as the gold standard metric. So now, let's talk numbers, because the numbers when it comes to VO2 Max really matter. For men, below 35 is poor. This is a health risk, and it isn't a performance concern anymore. It's actually a longevity concern. 42 to 50, average or good. You're in the game, but there's definitely room to improve. And above 60 is deemed excellent, elite amateur territory. Now here's the number that should really grab your attention. Research from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology found that a VO2 Max below 35 in men significantly increases the risk of cardiovascular disease and premature death. Sorry to sound morbid. On the flip side, every 3.5 increase in VO2 Max is associated with a 13% reduction in cardiovascular mortality risk. So let's sit with that. With an improvement to your VO2 Max of 3.5, your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease drops by a whopping 13%. Now you can see why this is so important. This isn't a fitness metric. This is a longevity metric. This is where I want every business leader, every CEO, every high-performing professional watching to pay close attention. Because VO2 Max isn't just for the elite level athletes I work with. Some other key areas associated with VO2 Max also include cognitive function. Research shows that a higher VO2 Max is directly correlated with better executive function, sharper decision making, and reduced cognitive decline. Your brain runs on oxygen. A bigger engine feeds it better. Your energy levels, people with a higher aerobic capacity report significantly lower total fatigue throughout the day. You can also sustain your outputs in the gym, in the boardroom, in life in general for longer and at a higher level. So if you want to perform at your peak for the next 20, 30, even 40 years, this is a number you need to care about. Hopefully now having a deeper understanding of its importance has got you thinking, this is something I should really pay closer attention to. Now the practical bit. How do you actually move the needle and improve your VO2 Max? There are three primary methods we use at Perform 365. Each has its role, each serves a different purpose. Method number one is nice and simple. It's zone 2 cardiac output training. This is your foundation, the base of your pyramid, if you like, with heart rates between 130 to 150 BPM. Sustained for around 40 or up to 90 minutes. The modality could be running, cycling, swimming, rowing. It doesn't really matter, just the heart rate zones are important. So what's happening physiologically? You're increasing the size of your left ventricle, the main pumping chamber of your heart. Bigger left ventricle means more blood per beat. More blood per beat means more oxygen delivered. This is your engine getting bigger. So think of this as your bread and butter. Do this consistently and your VO2 max will move. And aim for in and around 2 to 3 sessions per week. At this level, building this base is vitally important. Anyone can do it. Method number 2 is the Norwegian 4x4. And once your base has been built with method 1, which is important depending on your starting point, we can now push the ceiling. The Norwegian 4x4 protocol is one of the most research-backed methods for directly improving VO2 max. But be warned, it is pretty brutal. So the structure is 4 intervals. Each one is 4 minutes in duration and above 90 to 95% of your maximum heart rate, followed by 3 minutes of active recovery between each set. Why does this work? Because you're spending extended time at a near maximal oxygen uptake. You're forcing your cardiovascular system to operate right at its ceiling, and that ceiling gradually increases over time. Remember, this is advanced and you must have that sufficient base first. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. That really is the point. It's dominating the red zone. I actually used this with a professional boxer, Josh Taylor, for our camp in Las Vegas when Josh became undisputed champion of the world. And you'd use 1 to 2 sessions per week over a 6 to 8 week period, but layer this on top of your base of having a good zone 2 system. And then it can be a really, really powerful combination. Method number 3 is repeated high intensity work, which can be sport specific. So think of a boxer who is sparring. They do a 3-minute round and it's repeated high intensity bouts of exercise. This repeated exposure to high heart rate zones, so north of 85%, drives significant aerobic adaptations over time. This is why our boxers at Perform 365 have elite aerobic engines, despite training primarily for power and explosiveness. Doing their sport drives the most potent adaptation. So if your training or sport already includes this level of intensity, you're already building a VO2 max, whether you know it or not. One final point on this is very important. Your VO2 max is highly trainable. We have a client who began with us with a very low VO2 max of 28. He was beginning his journey, he was very early on, and over the next 12 months, he not only lost 30 kilograms of scale weight, his VO2 max is currently 42. This is in 12 months. He's completely changed the trajectory of his life. A deconditioned individual can see 15 to 20% improvements in VO2 max within 8 to 12 weeks of consistent structured aerobic training. The less fit you are, the faster your results will come. So how do you actually test your VO2 max? I'll give you 3 ways. We use at Perform 365 the gold standard with our members, which is a VO2 max test in the lab. You can either run or cycle to maximal effort while breathing through a mask that measures gas exchange. This method is highly accurate and definitely my preferred choice. You could also do a field test known as the Cooper 12-minute run test. You run as far as possible for 12 minutes, you plug the distance into a Cooper formula on your phone, and it gives a solid estimate. It's free and accessible to anyone. You could also use wearable technology, Garmin, Apple Watch, Whoop, or a Polar Band, and the algorithms have improved, but they're not as accurate as the lab, and you can assess your trends over time. So step 1 is knowing the number. Step 2 is tracking it and moving the number in the right direction. So hopefully now you can see that VO2 max is certainly not a vanity metric. It's not something elite athletes train because it sounds cool. It's the single best window into how your cardiovascular system, your heart, your lungs, your blood, your muscles all work synergistically together. At Perform 365, everything we build is around performance that lasts, not short-term results that fade. Know your number, build your engine, and make it bigger and better every single week. I hope you enjoyed this video on understanding VO2 max. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and there'll be lots more high-performance videos coming your way. Thank you.